Well, staying within the same ancient time period, we want to shift now from Greece and Rome over to India. We want to examine Buddhism. The Buddha, or Siddhartha Gautama, as he was named, was born a prince to a king of a very small kingdom in India, and tradition has it that his father kept him from all unpleasantness scrupulously, so that he was surrounded with the comforts of life, with all things of beauty, and he was always exempt or shielded from seeing old age, disease, death, and so forth. Again, according to tradition, later in life, he becomes more and more restless, more and more agitated. He wants to know what the meaning of life is supposed to be. And long story short, he ends up renouncing his throne, striking off on his own in search of some kind of enlightenment. Now, the Buddha had been versed in the Vedic or Hindu scriptures, and he understood the religious practices, the religious worldview that had been handed on to him quite well. And so, as is well known, he goes through a series of years by himself after his renunciation, where he seeks enlightenment through the meditative and austere ascetic practices that he had been taught. And again, these methods fail him. He finds himself frustrated until finally he decides he's going to break with these sort of pre-established means of finding salvation, liberation, enlightenment, and again, strike out on his own, but only this time striking out on his own intellectually, trying to find his own way. At this point, he finally achieves the enlightenment that he had been seeking and becomes known as the Buddha, or the enlightened one, the awakened one. So what did he figure out? What did he become enlightened about? What does he have to teach us about human destiny and human life? Well, the Buddha is often portrayed and portrays himself as being sort of anti-metaphysical, anti-speculative, and there's a lot of truth in that. Time and again, we'll read instances where his disciples or wandering persons would come up to him and ask him abstruse philosophical questions. And frequently enough, he wouldn't even answer their questions. He would retain the so-called noble silence because for the Buddha, he thought it was wrong-headed to become enmeshed in a bunch of speculative, theoretical questions that had no real connection to practical human life. He considered himself to be a physician who wanted to cure the immediate illnesses that people were experiencing and take them away from distracting, abstruse, theoretical questions. At the same time, it's not quite right to say that Buddhism, or the teaching of the Buddha, occurred in a kind of philosophical vacuum. He still retains the basic Hindu picture of samsara, karma, and rebirth. So I want to say something about those things before we enter into what's distinctive or new about the Buddha's picture. So what is the world like according to this worldview? Well, samsara is the endless and beginningless process of life and death on a cosmic scale. Samsara is the process whereby universes are created, sustained in existence, and then destroyed. But that's not the end of things, because there is going to be, and always is, a recreation, a new stretch of time, and another collapsing into destruction in this endless cycle. And as for the universe, so with us. We too experience birth, we live a little while, we die, and then we experience rebirth, okay? Well, what's the engine that keeps all this going? That's karma. Karma is the engine that keeps samsara going and that keeps us coming back again and again. But you've got to be careful about karma. You can't think of karma as a opportunity for God to judge your conduct and then decide what station you should occupy in your next life. A good station if you were good, bad station if you were bad. It's not like that. For one thing, the Buddha's philosophy is atheistic. There's no God standing in judgment over your conduct anyway. There's no sins to speak of. okay? But karma is more of a, more along the lines of a natural law or a force that's interwoven into the very nature of things. Good conduct does accrue good karma. Good intentions accrues good karma. Bad intentions, bad actions accrues bad karma. But here's another mistake people will make about karma when they start thinking about it in these terms. Don't think of the goal as being accruing as much good karma as you can, so you sort of ascend a scale of being in life after life after life. Rather, karma is the thing, it's the influence that keeps pulling you back down into this endless cycle of samsara, which is full of vicissitudes, ups and downs, impermanence. And so what you want to do is you want to shed all the karmic influences, whether good or bad, that keep you returning. So the goal is not to return at a higher stage again and again ad infinitum. The goal is actually finally to be liberated from, to be exempted from returning to the very cycle of samsara that you've been in since time immemorial. The Buddha takes on this basic Hindu outlook, but as we'll see, the Buddha gives significant twists within the framework that he adopts and gives us a very new way of understanding the path that we should follow to enlightenment and to liberation.